As a university, there are certain promises that we make to students. When it comes to our academic programs, one of these promises relates to what each student will be able to know, do, or think upon completing a specific program. These promises are called student learning outcomes. When writing student learning outcomes, we want to begin with the end in mind. Think of an ideal graduate of that program. What will that student know? What behaviors will they have? What skills can they demonstrate? And how will they think about things? This process of thinking through student learning outcomes for your program should not be done alone. This should be a collaborative process for you and the colleagues in your area. So why don't you go ahead and pause this video, send them an email, set aside some time in a department meeting, and figure out a way for you all to collaborate on setting the program student learning outcomes. One way to think about student learning outcomes is to divide them into 3 parts: who, what, and how. For our purposes, the who will be HBU students within a particular academic program. The what will be an action verb. When trying to determine an appropriate action verb, Bloom's taxonomy is a great starting place. Examples of Bloom's taxonomy to guide you in the writing of your SLOs will be found in the assessment organization in Blackboard. We want to make sure our student learning outcomes are specific. As a general rule, we want to avoid vague terms like know and understand. The final piece of the student learning outcome is the how. This is the learning statement, or the specifics. So let's take a look at some examples of student learning outcomes pulled straight from current HBU assessment plans. For this first one, we see our who. It's the students. Our what, or our action verb, is will be able to utilize. So here it's not just that they will memorize information, but instead that they will be able to use that information in some particular way. And so the specifics are that they can utilize basic cinematic theory in the creation of their own work. This is program specific, and this demonstrates what an ideal graduate will look like. Next, we have students, again our who, will compare and contrast. So again, they're able to use whatever information it is that they have learned. And the specifics are the text of the Constitution with the interpretation adopted by the U.S. Supreme Court in notable cases. Next example, again, we have the same who in all of these, HBU students. The what is that they will be able to communicate. And then the specifics is in a variety of professional contexts. Our last example here, students will analyze technology-based learning tools and delivery systems. When you begin to write student learning outcomes for your area, or are reviewing the ones that have been written in the past, here are 5 things to keep in mind. 1, focus on the student. The outcome should be student-oriented. Our who is our students. This is not some service that you will provide, but instead is an evaluation of what the student should know, do, or look like upon graduation. Second, we want to describe outcomes, not processes or activities. A great example here is the outcome we looked at previously of students will be able to communicate in a variety of professional contexts. That describes an outcome. A process or activity would be students will give a presentation. We want to avoid that and focus on outcomes. 3, state each outcome with an action verb, ideally only one. 4, we want to avoid vague verbs, such as know or understand. Go back to Bloom's and take a look at some of the variety of verbs that are offered there. It really is a good place to begin your brainstorming. And 5, we want to ensure that the outcomes are observable and measurable and specific to that program. I hope you walk away from this video feeling ready to engage in conversations about all of the things that make HBU graduates so